Every day we coexist with evil. We witness the darkest side of human behavior. The suffering caused by one individual to others is something inherent in our society. As dedicated investigators of the criminal world, we're on a mission to uncover the most shocking crimes and get inside the minds of those who commit them. I am Lucas, and today I bring you another unreal true crime. The case of María Fernanda Sánchez. María Fernanda Sánchez, also affectionately known as Mafi, was born in the late 1990s in the warm state of Querétaro, Mexico. She was the daughter of Javier Sánchez and Carolina Castaneda, who quickly realized that she would be a source of joy and vitality in their lives. Mafi stood out from an early age, exhibiting an extroverted personality that paired well with her passion for travel, allowing her to easily make new acquaintances. She also had a deep love for music, which added a charming touch to her character. Over time, Mafi discovered the magic of yoga, a discipline that she believed helped connect her with her inner self, bringing her peace that was visible in her appearance and her ever-present genuine smile. Her thirst for knowledge led her to seek out new experiences and embrace every opportunity to learn. Mafi was a diligent student, resulting in a strong academic foundation. She chose to study communication and digital media at the Instituto Tecnológico de Estudios Superiores Monterrey. Her resume was impressive, boasting certifications in video editing and special effects from the Academia Artes, as well as digital marketing. From a young age, Mafi demonstrated ingenuity, an innate quality that she enhanced by pouring passion into anything that could elevate her creativity. These favorable conditions made it no surprise that she excelled in digital content creation, photography, and video editing. Mafi was the soul behind Mesh Productions, a small production house she created that reflected her passion for audiovisual production, visible through her social media presence. Her professional journey also included a role as a journalist at a magazine from 2018 to 2021, where she helped to increase the presence and prestige of her alma mater through social media content and contributed to educational note writing for Conecta. Between 2020 and 2022, Mafi interned in innovation and digital marketing at Kellogg's Company, also taking on a leadership role as the director of editing and production at Emporio Estudio, where she worked on projects for well-known companies. In February of 2023, the next chapter of her life brought her to Germany to pursue a master's degree in new media design at the European University of Applied Sciences. Ever enthusiastic to acquire new knowledge and meet new people, Mafi settled in a modest apartment in the Berlin district of Treptow-Köpenick, maintaining her sociable spirit and contagious joy. Despite feeling the impact of the distance from her homeland, she stayed connected with her family through phone and video calls, sharing her excitement about her new experiences and friendships. However, in July of 2023, a post in a group for Latinas in Germany on a well-known social network revealed a sign of vulnerability. Mafi was seeking a Spanish-speaking psychologist as she was going through a very difficult time. Like anyone away from home, although she had chosen to go abroad for personal growth, Mafi was also facing her own challenges. Despite new friendships and adventures in Germany, she began to feel a deep longing for her home, family, and culture. Mafi's life took a dark turn on Saturday, July 22, 2023. Although she had planned to attend the annual LGBTQ community celebration in Berlin, she decided at the last moment to stay in her apartment to work on an academic project. This wasn't out of character for her, as she had always been very responsible, especially when it came to her studies. Despite the allure of the celebration, she chose to fulfill her duties. Just before noon, Mafi spoke with her family in Mexico. The conversation was like any other day, but it turned out to be their last. After this seemingly normal interaction, Maffei left her room in the student residence in Treptow-Köpenick, disappearing without a trace. The following Sunday was unusually quiet from Maffei's end, which seemed strange to her family. They thought she might be busy or resting, but as the hours passed and she didn't respond to her family's regular calls, their worry increased. They tried to remain calm and ward off dark thoughts, but anxiety started to take over. Finally, on Monday, July 24, concern turned into action, and Maffei's family contacted the authorities at the student residences to request they check on her apartment to ensure everything was all right. The state in which they found Maffei's room turned into a perplexing mystery. First and foremost, Maffei was not there, and bizarrely, her cell phone was left on her bed, while the door to the inner courtyard was left open. These details were utterly enigmatic and led the residence administrators to alert the authorities, resulting in an immediate and extensive search. The European University of Applied Sciences, aware of the gravity of the situation, offered its support to the family and closely collaborated with the authorities in the search for Maffei. Through a statement, one of her teachers expressed the academic community's dismay at the student's disappearance and highlighted the coordinated efforts to find her. Concern peaked on July 25 when Maffei's parents, Javier and Carolina, traveled to Berlin, marking the start of an international search. The authorities issued a missing person notice, requesting any information that could shed light on her whereabouts. Although the police considered the possibility that Maffei might be facing emotional vulnerabilities, this theory was discredited by her friends and family, who emphasized that she had seemed happy and normal in the days leading up to her disappearance. Maffei's image, disseminated through a social media account created by her parents named Find Maffei Berlin, depicted a 24-year-old woman, approximately 1.53 meters tall, weighing 48 kilograms, with long brown hair and tattoos decorating her arms. 3 days into an intense mobilization led by Maffei's family, the Mexican embassy in Germany announced its full involvement in the case. A national search protocol was then implemented in a desperate attempt to find the young woman. The Mexican ambassador in Germany used his personal social media account to express his distress and urged empathy and generosity towards those who are far from their loved ones, striving to excel in an environment with a different language and customs than those of their childhood. On July 26, consular authorities announced the implementation of the protection protocol, known as Search for Nationals. This protocol involved coordination between the Mexican and German authorities, aiming to cross-check information from hospitals, schools, and even morgues, with testimonials, persons of interest, and security camera footage. However, nothing seemed to yield results. The search intensified on July 27, when the police began to explore canals and ponds in the region. Equipped with search dogs and divers, the search operations unfolded on multiple fronts, and civil society volunteer groups organized through social media to search for Maffei on streets and in public squares. They distributed flyers and pamphlets with Maffei's image and details, leaving notices in wooded areas and urban spaces alike. Meanwhile, a poster with Maffei's image was shared on social media and spread throughout Berlin, thus multiplying the efforts to find her. As the mobilized public continued their relentless search, additional snippets of information were shared online. According to those close to the young woman, Maffei's room appeared to have been rummaged through before the authorities' arrival. While the police did not confirm this detail, Maffei's father, Javier, shared in an interview that his daughter lived in a ground-floor apartment with a balcony facing the street, and the door to her apartment was inexplicably open. 5 days since Maffei left her apartment, despite the lack of concrete information, the family maintained their optimism and hope. Her father pointed out that they believed the young woman was still in Berlin, as they had not been informed by the authorities whether her passport was among her belongings. On the same day, the family issued a statement thanking Maffei's university and the organized civil society for their support. While they shared their gratitude, they underscored the importance of keeping certain aspects of the case confidential to avoid hindering the investigation. Javier revealed that his daughter had plans to move to Spain in the coming days to meet up with her boyfriend, a young man she had recently met and with whom she was starting a relationship. The boyfriend's solidarity was demonstrated by his travel from Spain to Berlin to contribute to the search for Mafi. Despite the efforts, on July 31, the Berlin police reported that they had still not obtained any relevant information that could reveal Mafi's whereabouts, who had now been missing for 9 days. Up to that point, the collected evidence had not shed light on her location, and uncertainty still prevailed. On the same day, Mexican president announced his intention to seek help from his German counterpart to collaborate in the search for Mafi. Days passed slowly as Mafi's family fought to bring visibility to the case of their missing daughter, participating in various interviews to shed light on the baffling situation. In a conversation with a renowned Mexican journalist, Javier, María Fernanda's father, shared the challenges they had encountered in the search. He explained that in Germany, due to personal data protection laws, cameras are not allowed to film public places, complicating the tracking of clues. He also revealed the small size of the missing persons department in Germany and how the detective in charge of the case in Berlin faced an overwhelming task. Regarding the Mexican authorities, Javier shared that they had received support and had been offered psychological assistance. The Mexican authorities referred to the case as atypical due to the time elapsed and the circumstances surrounding the disappearance. He added that the family was working on issuing a yellow notice through Interpol, hoping to extend the search beyond the borders of Germany and Mexico. Despite the many tears shed, he said they maintained strength and a positive attitude in their quest to find their daughter amid the difficulties and uncertainty surrounding the case. Desperation and uncertainty lingered as the days passed without news of Mafi. On August 3rd, following exhaustive searches and without encouraging results, Interpol issued a yellow notice for her location practically worldwide. Although authorities considered it unlikely that she had left Germany or the Schengen area, this measure reflected the determination to find her. On Friday, August 4th, a spokesperson for the Berlin police shared in an interview with local media that they had verified her possible whereabouts and were closely following up on the received information. However, the lack of details left everyone in suspense. While the Berlin police had gathered up to 120 clues about Mafi's disappearance, concrete evidence that could lead to her exact location remained elusive. Meanwhile, on Saturday, August 5th, the young woman's parents organized a solidarity event in front of the Mexican embassy in Berlin. About 200 young Berliners, dressed in white and carrying lit candles and messages of encouragement, gathered to keep the search alive and show their support for the family. In the midst of this emotional scene, the feared news arrived in the early afternoon. Mafi's lifeless body had been found floating in a canal in Berlin. The search for María Fernanda Sánchez had come to a tragic end. Heartbroken, her loved ones confirmed the tragic outcome. Despite the search efforts and the maintained hope, the reality was unrelenting. It was revealed that the student's body had been found by a person walking across a bridge. Although authorities had previously searched the area with divers, it was later explained that the canal was extensive and its waters had hidden the tragic secret. The community gathered in mourning and solidarity, but also to demand answers. The search took a dark turn as it entered a new phase, determining the circumstances surrounding the young woman's death. Meanwhile, the police stated that there was no suspicion of third-party involvement and reiterated that the investigation was ongoing. The Mexican ambassador in Germany shared that the next step in the case would be an autopsy of Mafi to shed light on the causes of her death. Although he assured that the body showed no signs of violence, caution was maintained until the autopsy was completed. In a statement issued by the Mexican Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Embassy of Mexico in Berlin, the Sánchez Castaneda family expressed their gratitude for the support received on both sides of the Atlantic. They especially thanked those who had volunteered for the search efforts and requested respect for their daughter's memory and privacy as they navigated the difficult circumstances of their loss. The painful chapter in the life of María Fernanda had come to an end. However, questions still lingered in the air. pain and sadness spread throughout Mexico as news broke of the tragic end in the search for Mafi. Social media was filled with messages of comfort and wishes for eternal rest for her. Over 24,000 followers joined in a gesture of solidarity, while a feminist collective in Berlin and other volunteer groups also expressed their support with messages filled with love and strength. Politicians from various political streams in Mexico joined in the mourning, sending prayers, solidarity, and condolences to the parents, family, and friends of the young woman. The Secretary of Foreign Affairs in Mexico and current senator trusted that consular authorities would provide support to the family in this difficult time. The discovery of the body marked a new chapter in the investigation. It was known that the German authorities had received more than 120 leads about the young woman, and there were indications pointing to the days before her disappearance. But the situation remained secretive, and if there was any result from that part of the investigation, it is something that has not transpired. Although 2 weeks of intense search involved 500 people and covered more than 3,000 kilometers, there are still unanswered questions. According to Mexican media, the Mafi case brought to light a pending issue for the diplomatic representations of that country in Europe. Attention to mental health. The debate that opened highlighted that adapting to new cultural codes, discrimination, lack of support networks, and insecurity could deeply affect young people seeking a life abroad. The Mexican embassy in Germany reminded of the availability of a free window for access to mental health, while the Secretary of Foreign Affairs of Mexico offered tools a free psychological support platform for Mexicans in France and Monaco. A video shared by friends of Mafi, showing the young woman laughing and singing, reminded of her extroverted personality and all the vital energy that characterized her. That is why they asked for explanations to understand what really happened. On August 7th, 2 days after the discovery, Mafi's parents said that the Berlin police had not allowed them to identify their daughter's body. Sources close to the family confirmed that only the Berlin police had identified the 24-year-old young woman. The police statement reiterated that it could not be assumed that the young woman's death occurred due to the responsibility of third parties, but at the same time warned that the precise circumstances remained unclear. Media speculation was kept at bay, aware of the need to respect the official version. However, the police statement about Mafi's exceptional psychological situation and comments about her mental health raised suspicions about the true intention to investigate what happened to the last consequences. The how and why of her death were mysteries that tormented the Latin American community in Berlin. Attention was focused on the autopsy, a crucial step to dispel speculation. The most recent news occurred on August 9th and was published by a newspaper in Mexico, an informative medium that announced new delays in the autopsy. The newspaper managed to get answers from a spokesperson for the Berlin prosecutor's office, who announced that they would have to wait about 2 months to know the results of the autopsy, and that nothing is certain regarding the date of delivery of the body to the family. She pointed out that the autopsy had been ordered, but that it had not yet been carried out due to the workload and shortage of personnel. She added that it would take about 8 weeks before the result is available. Only from that moment can they think about releasing the body, but perhaps more investigations will be necessary before being able to deliver the remains to the family. The future of the investigation still does not seem to indicate immediate results. The repatriation of the body and the parents' decision on the final destination of Mafi depend on the results of the autopsy. The community cries out for clear answers and definitive closure, while the mystery surrounding the young student continues to weigh on the hearts of all those who followed her story with hope and much anguish. And well, that's it for today's case. As always, I appreciate your support for my work. If you subscribe, like, and share this video, it will help me continue creating content. This was another episode of Unreal True Crime. See you soon. On January 24, 2009, in the Spanish city of Seville, a 17-year-old girl named Martha del Castillo left to meet her boyfriend, Miguel Carcanio, as they needed to discuss some aspects of their relationship. After saying goodbye to her family, Martha left her house. never to be seen alive again. After 21 days of search, on February 13, 2009, the police finally located the alleged suspect. The young man assumed all responsibility for the case and revealed that he had gotten rid of Martha and, moreover, all the evidence regarding the case. No one imagined that this would be one of the longest, most erratic, and contradictory cases ever seen in the history of the European country, the case of Martha del Castillo. Every day we coexist with evil. We witness the darkest side of human behavior. The suffering caused by one individual to others is something inherent in our society. As dedicated investigators of the criminal world, we're on a mission to uncover the most shocking crimes and get inside the minds of those who commit them. I am Lucas, and today I bring you another unreal true crime. The case of Martha del Castillo. Martha del Castillo was born on June 19, 1991, in Seville, Spain, to Eva Casanueva and Antonio del Castillo. She was a 17-year-old adolescent, attending high school, until one day her life took a horrific turn. On January 24, 2009, Martha was chatting with Sylvia Fernandez, her best friend, when suddenly Martha ended the conversation. She told her friend that she had to leave and that she was in a hurry because her boyfriend Miguel Carcanio was waiting downstairs. She needed to talk to him to clarify some things about their relationship and assured that she would tell everything when she returned. In the hallway, Martha ran into her father, who advised her not to get on Miguel's motorcycle. The only response he received from his daughter was a kiss on the cheek. At 5:30 p.m., Martha left her home, and as the hours passed, and she didn't return, her family began to worry. Her mother decided to call all acquaintances who might have information about her daughter's whereabouts, including Carcanio. The unanimous response was that Martha must be with Miguel. He must know where she was. However, after the young man did not answer the calls, Martha's father decided to approach the boy's house, repeatedly rang the bell, but no one opened the door. Eventually, they could contact someone who had seen her that night, Samuel Benitez, a close friend of Miguel. At that moment, Martha's mother perceived the first strange situation. The young man told her that Miguel had left Martha at his house at midnight, which was impossible, as it was only 11:45. At 2 in the morning, Martha's family finally reported her disappearance, but they never suspected that it would become one of the most publicized cases in the country's history. 4 hours later, the details of who was already a suspect, Martha's boyfriend Miguel Carcanio, were provided. At 1:30 p.m., a third report was filed. The police did not take action, and the family became increasingly impatient. Only 17 hours after the first request for help, as established by the protocol, the officers began searching for Martha. In the days following the disappearance, the family decided to take statements from relatives and friends of the young girl. On January 27, 2009, the first press conference was held, while the parents started a campaign to find the young girl. The following day, 2,000 people protested in Seville, calling for the young girl's return, under the slogan, "We are all Martha." On February 7, another demonstration was convened, gathering about 3,000 people. The case echoed on television and in newspapers. After 21 days of searching, on February 13, the police finally located Miguel Carcanio. The 20-year-old assumed all responsibility for the case, stating he had murdered Martha and dumped her body into the Guadalquivir River, very close to his apartment. He also shared a crucial piece of information. He didn't commit the atrocious acts alone. He identified Samuel Benitez as one of his accomplices, claiming he helped dispose of the body. Benitez accepted the blame. Later, Miguel identified Javier Garcia Marin, a problematic miner known as El Cuco, and Francisco Delgado, Carcaño's brother, and his girlfriend, Maria Garcia, as accomplices. All five were arrested. The interrogations led to a wave of contradictions, and simultaneously, the meticulous search for Martha's body in the river commenced. On February 16, Carcaño reiterated his statement in front of a judge. Unlike his friend Samuel, who wanted nothing to do with the case, he assured he had not been involved in Martha's murder and only confessed due to police harassment. On March 18, Miguel Carcaño requested to make another statement and changed his version of events, claiming both he and El Cuco abused Martha at knife point, after which the miner strangled her. They then took her body to Delgado's house and later threw it into a garbage container. Following these declarations, the judge ordered the suspension of the search in the Guadalquivir River and directed the search to a landfill. Martha's father even accused Delgado's girlfriend, as her father worked at a biological waste crematorium. He speculated that the body might have been incinerated. This theory gained media traction, but the police continued their search. On November 16, 2009, El Cuco exceeded the maximum term for preventive detention and was transferred to a supervised flat awaiting trial. In February 2011, he was tried again, this time for abuse and murder. However, due to insufficient evidence, he was acquitted of these charges but was sentenced to 2 years and 11 months in a juvenile detention center for covering up for Carcaño. On October 17, 2011, the trial finally commenced against the 4 adult defendants involved in the case. Miguel Carcaño provided more details about Martha's murder, stating he had hit her with an ashtray during a heated argument, causing her death. He revealed his previous statements about abusing her were lies. His brother, his brother's girlfriend, and Benitez claimed innocence and professed ignorance about the location of Martha's body, asserting Carcaño fabricated stories to lessen his guilt. By November 22, 2011, the forensic police confirmed that they had found traces of Martha's blood on Miguel's jacket and a mix of his and Maria Garcia's genetic profiles on a roll of fabric tape. DNA from Francisco Delgado and the aforementioned woman was also found on an extension cable, believed to have been used to strangle Martha. This was unusual as the accused kept insisting that she had only been at the crime scene in the early morning and was unaware of the entire incident. After uncovering the lie, Maria Garcia was accused of desecrating the body and cover-up. The police also detected up to 5 fingerprints on 3 alcohol bottles, one belonging to El Cuco. The only one against whom there was no evidence was Benitez. By this point, the 5 youths were already under the scrutiny of the entire population. The initial trials were held with substantial police presence, and the prosecution assigned prison years for Carcaño, Benitez, Delgado, and Garcia, involving a total of 90 witnesses, including national police officers and experts. The assistance of 30,000 phone monitorings, crime scene photographs, DNA found by the forensic police, and items found at the house located at Leon 13 were considered. The trials had created such a public uproar that people pressed against the police cordon to receive the accused, loudly demanding the appearance of Martha's body. Delgado and his girlfriend appeared covered with balaclavas and sunglasses, but they still couldn't escape the crowd. A lady approached them and started insulting them. Other people tried to remove their glasses while pushing them so that everyone could see their faces. During the trial, El Cuco's mother was interviewed, her face covered. She asserted her son's innocence and claimed neither she nor he knew anything about Martha's body. She was labeled a liar by journalists but didn't care. She still received a sum of 10,000 euros for being interviewed. A few days later, Martha's family asked that her earnings from the program be regulated and that the money be used to face her son's sentence. During the proceedings, a key witness appeared: the taxi driver who transported Delgado on the night of the crime. He stated that he was very attentive to the passengers he picked up as a colleague had been murdered while working recently. He remembered picking up a bald man with a beard, matching Delgado's description, who had a plastic bag, and looked at him very intently. He took him to Leon 13th Street, precisely where the crime had occurred, and the charge was €8. However, Delgado's defense lawyer questioned this evidence, claiming the fare for the 2 kilometers covered in those years should have been €5, not 8, thus discrediting the statement. When Martha's parents took the stand, they'd mentioned the profound pain the situation was causing. They had to quit their jobs, start psychiatric medications, and even develop depression. Their other 2 daughters, Martha's sisters, were also going through a horrible time. They just wanted everything to end. To add to the pain, the jury's verdict in January 2012 didn't satisfy the family. Carcanio ended up as the sole responsible party for the young girl's murder and was sentenced to 21 years and 3 months in prison. Additionally, for the next 30 years, he is banned from residing in the city where the victim's parents and sisters live. At the same time, Carcanio should pay part of the trial costs and compensate the victim's parents with €280,000 and each of her sisters with €30,000 for the moral damage caused by Martha's murder and disappearance. Meanwhile, Delgado, Maria Garcia, and Samuel Benitez were released as there was no evidence placing them at the crime scene at the time of the murder. The following year, Delgado and Benitez demanded Martha's family pay for the trial costs. Martha's father stated he would seek justice beyond national borders as he believed the system in Spain was obsolete. He even claimed he would go to Strasbourg, home to the European Parliament and the European Court of Human Rights. In December 2011, Martha's mother wrote a letter to Carcanio and sent it to prison, asking him to end the torture of uncertainty she felt due to the absence of her daughter's body. She wanted Martha to rest in peace in a place where she could bring her flowers and talk to her. However, the letter never received a response. On January 24, 2012, 3 years after Martha's disappearance, demonstrations occurred in various cities and towns in Spain, demanding justice for the young girl. In prison, Carcanio was threatened by other inmates and later attempted suicide. He was admitted to a therapeutic module and did not receive visitors or talk to anyone on the phone. The young murderer was very busy during his imprisonment, creating up to 7 different versions of the crime, leading to several lawyers resigning from defending him. The latest version, in 2013, implicated someone close to him as the perpetrator of the crime. Carcanio spoke of an argument between him and his brother over the mortgage for the house at Leon 13. He sent a letter to the family expressing his wish to stop covering for Delgado. According to this version, a fight ensued over a fraudulent loan. The conversation escalated to the point that Delgado threatened his brother with a weapon. When Martha tried to intervene, she allegedly received a fatal blow with the butt of Delgado's gun. Delgado then made a call, and Miguel claims he doesn't know who it was directed to or what was discussed, but he remembers that he then ran out of the house, leaving Martha lifeless in the room. It was then that El Cuco arrived, and Miguel asked for his help to dispose of the body using a wheelchair. They transported the body to the Majaloba farm in La Rinconada and buried it there. Martha's parents believed Carcanio's version and held him in high esteem despite everything that had happened. They requested the reopening of the investigation, focusing on Miguel's brother this time. However, neither the prosecution nor the judge gave weight to the statements. Martha's father decided to visit Carcanio in prison himself, asking him to collaborate. He even told him he had bought the house at Leon 13 and that it would be his after serving his sentence if he helped find his daughter's body. The search for Martha's body was one of the most expensive in the country's history, encompassing both land and sea to locate the young girl. The first search was conducted in the Guadalquivir River. However, several inconsistencies were found when agents tried to recreate the transfer from Leon 13's floor. It was impossible for 3 people, in this case El Cuco, Carcanio, and Benitez, to transport together on a motorcycle, especially carrying Martha's body. In the reenactment, the body fell to the ground the moment the engine started, when Carqueño claimed that the body had been thrown in a trash bin. The search began in the landfill that receives all the waste from Seville. Due to the time elapse since the young girl's disappearance and the vast amount of waste received by the landfill, the search team estimated they would have to remove around 40,000 tons of garbage to obtain some result. They searched for a total of 32 days without success. The accused mentioned up to 4 different locations where the body was, prompting new searches each time. On one occasion, the then Interior Minister, Alfredo Perez, had to pause the search as the Ministry of Economy and Finance was running out of funds. In April 2013, after pointing to his brother as Martha's real murderer, Carqueño gave a new location for the body near the municipality of La Rinconada. Despite losing almost all credibility after so many false versions, a new search was decided upon. Carqueño accompanied the police officers to where he claimed to have buried Martha's body along with Delgado on that night in 2009. He did not give precise directions. He only sketched the area where he believed they had dumped the body. The soil of 6 farms was excavated, focusing on points where, according to a study done with a georadar, there had been earth movements in recent years. In total, an area of 10,000 square meters was scanned, but again nothing was found. All the searches were in vain. At the request of the parents, the search for the body was halted until 2015. The public ministry asked the defendants to jointly compensate the Ministry of the Interior with a sum of €616,319, the approximate cost of the search, but this never happened. Fortunately, other doubts in the case were resolved, thanks to a very special collaborator. In February 2009, Oscar presented himself to Rosalia, Cuco's mother, as a criminal, but in reality, he was an infiltrator seeking a confession, simple words that could shed some light on Martha's whereabouts. Over time, they began to meet frequently, seeing each other every 2 or 3 days, and talk daily on the phone. Rosalia trusted him with the keys to her house. They shared confidences, took long walks on the beach. He gained her trust and won her over. He even made her believe that they would leave together for some country in Eastern Europe once everything ended for her son. For 2.5 years, Oscar recorded 600 hours of conversation between Rosalia and her surroundings. In October 2011, El Cuco was already granted release permits from the juvenile center to which he had been sent for covering up for Carqueño. During a conversation, Oscar asked the young man if he thought the police were following him, to which El Cuco responded affirmatively, asserting they would do so to find out where they got rid of Martha. This statement forever incriminated him. After finishing talking, El Cuco immediately realized what he had said and quickly rectified, asserting he hadn't done anything, while Oscar played along as if he hadn't noticed. In other tapes, El Cuco mocked the police's efforts to find the body, and Rosalia discussed how inept the investigators had been for not auditing the calls from her mobile phone. Despite the hard work of the man, those 600 hours of recordings were never judicialized. Only in 2022, 13 years after Martha's disappearance, did the infiltrators' work yield results. On May 26, 2022, dozens of people, especially neighbors of Martha's family, gathered at the courthouse doors wanting to accompany them due to the celebration of the new judicial process. Rosalia and El Cuco arrived at the courthouse shielded by the police. The young man was entirely covered, wearing a large hoodie, a balaclava, sunglasses, and even gloves. Rosalia was wearing sunglasses, a mask, and a headscarf. In 2011, El Cuco declared that he had not been in the flat on Leon 13th Street, where the crime occurred, but with several friends. He said he had gone home at 11:30 at night and had met his mother's partner, who had gone out to throw out the garbage, then had gone up to his house and had not left for the rest of the night. Rosalia, for her part, said she had gone out with her partner for drinks around 11:30 at night and had returned home around 1:30 in the morning on January 25. finding her son asleep there. El Cuco confessed that on the night of January 24, Carcanio called him after having murdered Martha and asked him for help to bury her body. Along with Benitez, they took his mother's car and went to Leon 13, where Delgado was also found. Meanwhile, Roselia was at the bar and stayed there until 4:30 in the morning. When she got home, her son was still missing. Both El Cuco and his mother were charged with perjury, the act aggravated by having obstructed the judicial procedure ongoing since 2009. Both El Cuco and Roselia accepted responsibility for their acts. The trial was held, and the judge suspended all scheduled witness statements, leaving Martha's parents distressed as they had called Carcanio to testify in hopes he would finally reveal their daughter's whereabouts. On June 9, 2022, both El Cuco and Roselia were sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, and the judge also imposed a fine of €1,440 each and a civil liability payment of €30,000 to Martha's parents. However, they didn't care about the money. They still wanted just one thing: to find the body of their daughter. That same year, the investigative judge authorized the expert to access the mobile phones of Carcanio and Martha. However, he did not grant permission to do the same with the rest of the individuals involved in the case, as there currently is no evidence against them. Carcanio consented to his phone being examined, insisting they would find evidence pointing to his brother as the actual murderer. Yet the main goal was to determine the location of the long-sought body. Although looking for new leads in the criminal case was prohibited, the expert never submitted his findings, and thus, the case was closed indefinitely. In November 2022, 13 years after Martha's murder, the civil court decided to close the separate investigation for the search of the body, deeming the legally stipulated investigation period as expired without any new significant discoveries. Martha's parents came to terms with the fact that Carcanio would never reveal the location of their daughter's body and decided to sell the flat where the crime occurred. Martha's case will join countless other unresolved cases worldwide, with documents gathering dust on a desk. That's all for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave your comments, always with respect for the family of the victim. This is Unreal True Crime. See you soon.